everyone. Welcome to Legal Limelight. Today we have my dear friend and AI guru, Mitch Jackson, who is going to join me here on Instagram, and we're going to have it recorded for our LinkedIn community. Really excited to chat with him today. All things AI. Hey, Mitch. Bringing you up now. Okay, hopefully you can get on here. Had some trouble earlier. I think we're good. Hey guys, good to see everyone. Hope everyone has used ChatGPT and ready for this discussion. Let's see. Hey Mitch. Let's try one more time. Good old Instagram.
Hello. And we are live.
Hello.
Francesca, it's good to see you.
I wasn't sure if you were wearing like a real hat or like a digital hat.
I'm going to leave that up to your audience's imagination. Whatever they want me to wear, I'll wear. It's really good to see you. I love spending time with one of my favorite top IP lawyers on the planet, and that's you. So thanks for having me on, and this is going to be fun.
This is awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to actually come out and have a meal with you in person.
I know.
It's been like years now.
You guys hung out together, closed down the restaurant together.
We're soulmates.
Met all of the partners in her firm. But we need to see each other. I need to take you for a paddle down at Dana Point. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that sounds like a dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm coming out. Well, it's good to see you, and thank you so much. It's been a while since we caught up, and I usually do these Legal Limelights to interview you and give us an update on what's going on.
Ooh.
But today we have a little spin on it. We're going to talk specifically about AI, and I would love to know just generally, because I know you're really a leader in this space right now, love to know what kind of things that you are personally in your firm is working on and how you guys are integrating AI. And then
how many rabbit holes are we going to go down? You know, it's just changing everything. And let me be upfront. We're using AI right now for everything at the firm, everything we do, whether it's everyday correspondence, templates, brainstorming sessions, picking a jury. What are the open-ended questions that we want to ask that particular jury panel based upon where the trial's located, community issues, what would they want me to ask them standing in front of them so that I can get a better read on who's sitting in the jury box. You know, we're complementing all of the above, obviously, with personalizing the human factor into or integrating into the whole process, but it's changed everything. I mean, and you know that, right? It's like between IP law, between contract law, it's just really exciting. And so, yes, we're using it for everything, and I'm loving it for trials and mediations. It's just something that's really making a difference.
What tools are you specifically using? Is it primarily
so we're
GPT?
primarily using GPT-4 and also a special app or program or service offered by LawDroid called Copilot. And so it's set up to make it really easy for lawyers. I'm a brand ambassador for the company, just so you know, full disclosure, but it's because I like the program. So lawyers can go in and they can click, create a letter, create an email, do research case law, just by clicking a button and then typing in what they need to know.
No way.
And it pulls it all together to really help accelerate and help make us better, faster, and create more effective and enjoyable client experiences. So those are the platforms that we're using. In the mediation department at my firm, what we're doing, Francesca, is we're using GPT-4 via a particular chat bot. And if everyone goes to mitchjackson.com, my mediation page, scroll about halfway down, there's a public mediation chat bot where we've literally put in thousands of pages of mediation and negotiation tips that we've developed over the last 37 years. I've uploaded both of my negotiation and mediation books into the data set. It's a private data set that the public can access, so that if you have an issue or you have an impasse and you're looking for, how can I get around this, right? You can go in right now. You don't even have to talk to me, right? In fact, I'm not even going to be around today. You know what I'm doing today, which is going to be so much fun? So you didn't meet my son. You met my daughter, but you didn't meet my son. So Garrett is a strategist, as you know, for VaynerMedia in LA. And for Father's Day this year, he grabbed a couple of tickets to tonight's Greta Van Fleet concert, which, if you're not familiar with Greta Van Fleet, is kind of like the new modern rock and roll. It's really, really good. All the old bands are embracing this band. So we're going to be at the Forum tonight. I'll be sporting my on-chain monkey hat, and we're going to be there with some other friends and just have a blast. But the reason I'm bringing that up is all of this technology allows me to get things done faster so that I can head out the door earlier and spend more time with my family and friends. That's the idea.
Oh, Mitch, I love, and like, obviously this is why I wanted to have you on, because like we could always talk about AI, but it's really, you're giving real life examples of how it's being used and how anyone can use it, not just lawyers. But you know, like my background, like my story, I hit burnout and I pivoted, and I'm just it's why I started my own firm. I'm constantly looking, how can I be better? How can we be more efficient? How can we get things turned around faster? So the fact that there is a tool and tools based on a new technology that can make us perform faster, better, stronger, like it's changed the game. How are you though, like with the optimism and the excitement that we've been sharing, how are you balancing that with, you know, concerns that it's going to disrupt and take away people's jobs or take away the lawyer jobs?
You know, it's interesting. That train's already left the track. I mean, the station, not the track. I need AI to help me with this interview. So that's already happened. Like, there's no reason to even talk about that issue because it's happening in real time right before our eyes. What I would prefer to talk about is how can we embrace and leverage and use and help guide the direction of this train, this ship, this boat, this motorcycle, which is what I like to ride, moving forward. And so my thought process is it's not going away. So figure out, regardless of what type of practice you have, what type of business or occupation you're involved with, because I have some friends that aren't lawyers that are going to be watching the live or recorded show. Figure out, how can I embrace this technology to create a better experience, to improve my products and services moving forward, and how can I do it also while complementing this process using due diligence. In other words, if you're using it to do research in case law, which may not be a really good idea right now, but there's some caveats to what I just said, independently do your due diligence as a lawyer. Take your results and use, Westlaw or LexisNexis and double down, shepherdize what you're reading and planning on incorporating into your briefs, because it's not refined to the point where I would allow it to create a pleading that I'm going to be filing in court. You and I have both read in our legal journals and online platforms problems lawyers have had doing that, right? But simply incorporate some level of due diligence. Understand, and I think I would love to hear your thoughts about this. If you're using AI to create content for your marketing and advertising and branding, okay, there actually may be some copyright issues with what's being pulled in from the data sets, what you're using and putting out to the community locally, nationally, or globally. So understand that if you're going to be creating content using AI, or if you're a lawyer and your clients are using this technology to create content for a 30-second, $8 million Super Bowl ad, you want to make sure that the content that's being used, you aren't violating someone else's intellectual property rights. You're not putting yourself in a situation where you're exposing yourself to liability. So you want to really want to talk to someone like Francesca, because I'm not an IP lawyer, and say, listen, this is what we're planning on doing. What are your concerns or thoughts? What do we need to pay attention to? What research do we need to undertake to make sure that the data set that we're going to be using is one that allows us to use the images, the text, the movies, whatever it is, in putting together our AI responses for our marketing and advertising campaign. Should we do it? Can we do it? And 2 days ago, and I invited you to speak on the stage to do this, I had a big, it was fantastic.
Yes, how was
really
it?
Turned out well. It would have been 10 times better if you were there. Honestly, I wish you were there. We'll get you there for the next one. But what we did is we invited all of the Web3 artists and creators, people that you're involved with on a daily basis, into our virtual metaverse stadium. And I had expert lawyers come in and talk about Web3 contract law, AI law, intellectual property rights. Pete Salsick was kind enough to come in and talk about IP. We talked about marketing and branding, and we really dived deep on the things that you and I are talking about right now when it comes to Web3, the metaverse, and AI, and what business owners and entrepreneurs and creators need to pay attention to. That's lawyers too, right? We're all of the above. Like when I'm trying a case, and I've been doing this for 37 years, or I'm mediating a case, I actually feel like an artist or creator taking the fact pattern that I'm being given, taking the personalities of my jurors, my judge, opposing counsel, maybe even the parties in a mediation, and blending it all together into a finished product, right? And it's just interesting how we can now use AI to help complement all the above. And so that's a really long answer to a short question. Sorry about that.
No, I love it. But you said, so you used the word creation, create. It's something that we haven't had to do in a very long time because, you know, with the Industrial Revolution, the technology was, and it used to be, you just hire more bodies to do repetitive work and repetitive tasks. And we have entered a new realm of world, and it's that this digital age with exponential growth companies that could leverage technology to the point that it is not going to need as many bodies. And, you know, when I said this, you said trains already left the station, so how are we going to deal with it? And I 100% agree with you. And what I want to encourage people on how to deal with it is, instead of like looking for those jobs where it's just, you know, data entry or like really base level analysis, which quite literally a computer can now do, think, how can I take all my skills and either start my own business or work for someone as a strategist or a consultant? It's you are still going to have this similar jobs using your skills, but the question may be, one, do I need to level up my skills or add new skills to things that are marketable? Because you're always going to need lawyers, you're always going to need humans, you're going to need good judgment, which a computer can't do right now. There's always things that, like the computers, you can't rely on. So I think it's really going to take people's creativity, especially younger people, to sit and think, what career do I want going in this direction where, you know, the technology is going to disrupt a lot. And I do think we're going to see people having to, instead of just like, you know, going right to corporate America or right to an entry-level job, that we may see more startups, we may see more software companies. It's really like, we've already been moving in that direction where, like, you know, a 19-year-old could be like a multimillionaire because they were trading crypto or starting their own Web3 company. Like, that's really real. So I think, you know,
it's where do you stop? I mean, where do you start and where do you stop? And so maybe taking a couple of steps back, I think it's opening new opportunities. And just earlier today, both on Twitter and I think also on LinkedIn this morning, we shared an article that I had written a few months ago about the transition we made from the horse and buggy era back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, right? 1900 to 1920 is the time frame I took into consideration, with being a similar experience to what we're experiencing today with the transition into AI, Web3, and the metaverse. It's very similar. And for every job that's lost, I believe there's going to be 10, 20, or 100 new jobs that are going to be, that are forming. The quality of life,
100%.
what it was like back in the day, people don't realize how much urine and manure was being left on the streets of New York and Chicago and Los Angeles back in the horse and buggy days on a daily basis, right? And we're talking about sanitation issues, quality of life, smell, right? And so I dived into the article and talked about, rather than somebody in today's world spending hours researching something. You can literally get that same answer within seconds if you know how to do it correctly. For example, I know you're familiar with the big strike happening out here in Hollywood, right? And so what we did is I have some friends that are agents and working on the whole process. So what I did is I took the screenwriters and actors, points and authorities, and put them into a AI database. I then took the movie theater and production companies' arguments and put it into a database. I trained, my team and I trained AI. You're an experienced mediator, negotiator, top graduate of a top law school. These are the issues. Present 20 talking points based upon what we put into the system to help resolve and mediate this issue. And it actually came out with some really amazing ideas, breaking down numbers and years and technologies and how all of the issues of both sides can be combined into a final 3 to 5 year deal to allow everyone to get past this strike and to start moving forward, because it's rippling throughout our community, not only locally, but around the world. It was spot on with a lot of the suggestions that it made. So a friend of mine submitted that brief or memo to the heads of each side negotiating this. Now, the funny thing is, it will be interesting, and I was very open about it, to have AI step in and fix the problem that actually the issues are resonating around AI in the first place, right? I'm like...
But I think that in itself is like indicative of our new world. Technology is both a blessing and it has problems, right? It's like with anything, like social media. You can use it to connect and build relationships and do what we're doing, build community. But it also has a dark side. You can really go down the rabbit hole and spend 5 hours and get anxiety.
Absolutely.
And, FOMO. So it's just, how do you look at, like, cat's out of the bag, Pandora's box open, trains left the station, whatever analogy you want to use, it's here. If you haven't started using it yet, it will be integrated into your everyday life. And you should just go to ChatGPT and Google it, start talking to it to see. But I agree with you, Mitch. I share your overall sentiments. I think it's just going to make us be much better, smarter, faster humans, which is very already in tandem with where we've been going as a society anyway.
AJ from Georgia, it's good to see you, my friend. So a couple of quick examples along those lines. When all of this started happening, I started posting different ways I was using it and different ways lawyers could use it and how great it was. And now everybody in the world's talking about it through that vein, right? So I've kind of stopped creating content around that theme. And instead what we're doing, Francesca, is we're simply using it. Like internally, we're using it, right? I'm walking my talk, and it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make that horse drink. The same thing with lawyers in the legal profession. So I don't really care who's using it or who's not. We are, and it's changing everything. Couple of things that people need to keep in mind is when I'm mediating a case and I've got a Web3 issue, maybe on a smart contract, and there's a lot of money involved and both parties think that they're right, we'll go into a private mediation, whether it's in a Zoom with breakout rooms or virtual metaverse spaces. This is so much fun, right? Can you hear me okay? Because they're doing the lawn out front. Am I okay? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
What we're doing is, I don't know if everyone realizes this, but when you're in mediations, you have one party in one Zoom breakout room and another party or parties in other breakout rooms. They don't even have to see each other. As a mediator, I'm bouncing back and forth between the rooms trying to resolve the issue. And we're very successful at this. They're in 4 and 8 hour blocks. Here's the cool thing about using AI is oftentimes there'll be an impasse. There's an issue. How do we resolve this issue, right? Well, before the mediations, what we're doing is we're importing each side's memorandums or briefs in a way that is excluding personal information, even though the data sets we're using are technically private. I'm very cautious about this stuff. So we'll leave out names, we'll leave out any personal information, but there are general topics, right?
Wow.
And now we can import a PDF brief very easily. It only takes a couple of seconds. So during the mediation, what we'll do is while the parties are talking, I'll go over into another tab on my computer and I'll type in the issue. The data set will then take each side's position, pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses, personalities of counsel, personalities of the parties. We have a 10-point checklist where, for example, Francesca, if you were one of the parties, part of it has to do with where you went to school, what type of personality do I perceive you having, how educated are you on the particular issues at hand relating to this particular mediation. And I can ask you questions, give me 10 open-ended questions to move past this impasse. And it will instantly, within seconds, give me suggestions. And I'm pretty good at this stuff where like 2 out of the 10 I didn't even think about. So then I can bounce back into the
I love that.
and start the conversation with that open-ended question. That's how we're using it. And it's so damn powerful. It's changing everything. Yeah.
It's so powerful. It literally makes you, 10 times better, which is, don't we all want to do better work and rather, in a shorter amount of time, where if you could type that in, it may have taken you weeks or months or maybe never to think of that one thing that gets a party to settle. So thank you for giving those specific concrete examples.
Real quick though,
I want to tack on to that.
Unless you're Eric Anderson, aka the Sin Lawyer, because I happen to know Eric. He's from the Inland Empire. Everybody, gifted lawyers, really good guy. But I think Eric would rather negotiate over in a dark oak wood room with a nice cigar and a glass of bourbon or scotch. I'm sorry, Eric, I don't know what your preference is, with opposing counsel, and spend as much time face to face with that lawyer to resolve the case. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is definitely always tap into your strengths. Like there's something special about having good people skills, right? But when you combine those people skills and how you like to do business, how you like to practice law with these new technologies, like you said, your words, you're better, you're faster, and you can get more consistent results for your clients. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So I just wanted to point that in. Okay.
Oh no, I'm really glad you hit the point. And I think what you're really saying is that you can't outsource everything. And like, this goes back to why people should not be afraid. We are humans. And at least the technology hasn't evolved yet to really replicate. But I do think that, like, for example, in my job, judgment, I could type something into ChatGPT and it can give me 4 different great strategies, but what's the right one? It's not going to give you that answer. That's really almost like a philosophical thing that you have to really sit with and think. That's based on your own experience and your own values and the interests of the client. So I do think it's that human element.
Well, I was going to say, and things are more complicated in today's world. So you're talking to somebody that started his practice back in the mid 80s when the fax machine was the most complicated device in the law firm. And if you had a fax machine, you were killing it. You were state of art as a lawyer, right? We used to promote when we be at bar events or I'm meeting with clients. I would incorporate the fact that we had a fax machine into that conversation to let the client know that we were leading edge at the time. There wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, you could take your time doing things, right? Then the internet came along, and then social media and Web 2, Web 3, everything you and I are talking about, things are happening quickly. Things are complicated. One of the reasons I'm wearing this, in addition to sporting it at tonight's concert, is what I'm noticing with Web 3 companies. And I want you to jump in with your thoughts, maybe with one of your clients or based upon what I'm saying, is there are a lot of moving pieces, unlike anything we've ever seen before. MetaGood is a company that basically does social good as a company, okay? Amazing co-founders that also incorporated into its business model a Web3 on-chain monkey, I want to say NFT, but it's a digital asset type of benefit to the community that all has to do with funding a DAO that raises money for social good. Imagine all of the different IP issues, contract issues, jurisdiction issues with a community that's based around the world. what I'm already doing, because I've been in this group for a couple of weeks now and I'm just blown away with how great it is I'm using AI to help me wrap my head around the different legal issues and business issues that come up with pulling all of this together, whether it's business, law, IP, time zones, and AI can really give you some solutions that maybe most people haven't thought of to make these kind of new business models work better, faster, and more efficient so that at the end of the year, they're more profitable. So I purposefully, as a lawyer, put myself right in the middle of these new companies to see how are they doing things, how are they blending this new Web3 technology in a way that's frankly never been done before. And so I want to encourage the listeners.
Yeah, you use so many different things that
whatever your
combine
passion is,
them
listeners,
together.
whatever you enjoy doing, whatever
Yeah.
your clients are doing, think to yourself, how can they incorporate AI to make better legal and business decisions? And with all of that in mind, from a lawyer's perspective, this is my biggest fear for the average consumer, business owner, or entrepreneur. The IP issues with these data sets, the lawsuits that have been filed. What do you think, while we've got everybody here, what should an entrepreneur or small business owner, what do they need to pay attention to when using AI when it comes to not crossing that line and violating someone's copyright or trademarks? What are some things or some tips you can share, Francesca, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot?
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. Like it's honestly like a philosophical meta question that I to this day have not yet publicly given my thoughts about it, because it's such a deep question, and I think it's rooted in how does IP play a role? Is IP going to play a role, or are we going to move to a world where intellectual property is not even important?
Interesting.
So it's
say
stuff
that again. Say that again. You
I'm
just said
behind
something.
the scenes.
I think it has to do with the speed of business right now. Do we have 6, 9, or 12 months to secure IP on a product or service where next month it might actually already be out of date, right? I mean,
yes, and it's very important. I mean, and also like what I've been doing for the past 6 months is I've been taking on cases for clients that have massive infringement problems, global. The speed that it's moving in between the ability to like steal a product design, take the molds, crank out product in manufacturing companies, then drop ship and distribute. It used to be months. Then we got it down to weeks, and now it's lightning fast. So what I'm really saying is, with technology, things are moving so fast. Doing DMCA takedowns, is that the most efficient way to fight knockoffs? We're really, as IP practitioners, we're really wrestling with the existing laws and the speed in which the infringement is happening so fast. UDRP proceedings.
Wait,
if someone's using Mitch Jackson
what was
law,
that? What type of proceeding?
A uniform domain name proceeding is a proceeding where you can file through WIPO and try to get back your domain name if someone's using it in a way to cause confusion. So I'm seeing this a lot with like celebrity clients where they're getting scammed. So that's fast. These scammers, they get in and they get out. So for example, a UDR proceeding where the client has to spend a lot of money and we don't get the domain name for months if we're successful, and then they've already moved on to another domain name, it's a different game. And it's like, these are the conversations I'm excited to have with groups like INTA and really force our public officials and representatives to sit and think about new laws really that are matching the speed of the infringers, of the knockoffs, and on the other side of the coin, on how we can get faster protection. I don't, to answer the end conclusion without giving my whole analysis, I think fundamentally intellectual property is so critical to business, to our lives. It helps it incentivizes creativity. So I don't think it's going anywhere, but I do think that the way that we protect it and enforce, that we're probably going to see new laws really come into play to help
know what I think
with
is
the
going
speed.
to complement everything you just said? This is why I'm involved in the space, and
Yeah.
whether it's called a tokenized digital asset, which on the Ethereum blockchain people call an NFT, non-fungible token, or this year for the first time ever on the Bitcoin blockchain, what we call ordinals. You can now build out the same type of digital asset on the Bitcoin blockchain. Here's why it's important, because everything you and I are talking about is going to be a millisecond tap or swipe to resolution. In other words, when a new product or service comes out, whether, it's being intellectual property protected, it's going to be on either a proprietary blockchain, maybe on Bitcoin, or something sponsored by the US Copyright Office, whatever it may be. And there's going to be digital elements in what we're doing for our clients where once we click and establish in an instant that copyright search, that trademark search, it's not going to take months. It's going to be milliseconds because it's going to be on the blockchain. At that point in time, that IP is secure. If somebody comes along and creates a digital asset that violates that IP within an instant, because it's on this blockchain, it's going to be ascertained and reported so that the parties, the rights owners, will be able to make intelligent decisions. I see us filing cases, Francesco, where instead of uploading paperwork into the court system, manually calendaring the 175 trial-related dates that come along with a new case, I actually see us using some type of digitalized token. Probably it's going to be eventually on the Bitcoin blockchain, and we can talk about that if you want, that will instantly serve notice on all parties, instantly calendar all related litigation dates, and with a couple of more options, probably paid services, our clients will be able to opt into an instant settlement mode where, based upon a global database of cases and settlements and verdicts, the AI is going to be able to recommend a full and final resolution of that particular legal matter, which can be binding or non-binding depending on the client's approval. So I actually feel like this is going to be changing everything. And what it's going to do for you and I is it's going to allow us to help more people faster. It's not going to take away our jobs. Go ahead.
I also think that everything you've said, those are solutions. Yeah. Those are business opportunities. Those are things that people have to build. You need teams, you need organizations. So I would really encourage everyone to, and maybe this is more of like a spiritual thing. Like maybe this is how we were supposed to evolve and really tap into our higher facilities to not just, graduate, go work in corporate America and retiring. It really may be that now we're being forced to sit with the problems that plague us as a society or in business to create new businesses that you can then use to generate income and your livelihood and a career while also helping the world.
You're preaching to the choir, and I know people tuning in probably feel the same way. Two good books, a thought leader everyone needs to pay attention to, and that's Peter Diamandis. Peter Diamandis is a brilliant
exponential organizations.
And also a medical doctor, and he's going to be mining asteroids in the near future. His new book talks about how a billion-dollar company is going to be created because of the technology you and I are talking about by simply having 3 people behind this company. If you read Peter's book, Abundance, despite all the noise you see on the news every night, everybody, Peter makes a very strong case for humanity has never been in a better position, whether it's supply and demand, whether it's opportunities, whether it's natural resources, whether it's the reduction of wars or battles between one human group of people to another. Statistically, we've never been in a better place on this planet, believe it or not, maybe excluding the environment, and we'll leave that out of the conversation for now. And so if people read these 2 books, I think what they'll realize is there's an abundance of opportunity moving forward. Don't waste your precious time and resources and your energy fighting this, because it's not going to go away. Instead, wrap your arms around it, wrap your digital arms around it on the online platforms, and figure out, how can I leverage this technology to be better? How can I leverage this technology to help my community or my country or the world be a better place? And so what I'm excited about, I know we're not talking about science, we're talking about law, but I'm excited about technology and science and the environment, those situations, those topics improving because of AI's input. Good people, smart people, leveraging this technology to do things that we just don't have the ability to do as human beings. And I think the future is real bright. So I try to avoid conversations with people that want to waste my time talking about how bad this is. And instead, because I've only got so much time in the day, what I'm doing is just doing my own thing. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm seeing the results, and it's an exciting time to be a lawyer, and it's an exciting time to be alive.
It really is. And I think what it comes down to is, like, how do you view problems? Like, right, you could view problems as negative things, or you can do what we do all day, is we're problem solvers. And like that, everyone has problems, our world has problems, but it's how we react to them and how we handle them that gives us this beautiful end result, and what creates our life. So problems aren't going to go away, but we really need to have people think like strategically and just sit with it and say, okay, it's here, the technology is here, how can I integrate it today, right now? What can I be doing to integrate it for my job? I know I talked about being an entrepreneur because I'm biased, but also there are going to be employees. Like, this is not going to completely like overhaul corporate America or any companies. There is always going to be people needed for jobs. So, but you can ask yourself, how can I do my job better for my boss or for my company by using these tools?
Are you going to be at Clio this year in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee?
I probably should be. There are lifesavers
so,
right now.
So Lisa and I are going to be there, and I'm on a panel, and I'll be speaking about AI. And the reason I'm bringing up Clio, and everyone go, if you're a lawyer and you're thinking about, should I go to Clio? It's by far like my favorite legal conference on the planet. I've spoken 3 years now, and it's really good. But a few years ago, during COVID, I had the pleasure of following Seth Godin on stage, digital stage, right? Which is a tough presentation to follow. But while I was listening to Seth's presentation, along with Jack Newton, the founder and CEO of Clio, they brought up 17 different sectors that lawyers were at the bottom of before COVID, before the pandemic, where a year into the pandemic, we were at the top. In other words, or close to the top when it comes to technology. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I see the same thing happening with AI. What's going to happen is lawyers are going to realize that their clients are going to be demanding that AI be a part of the practice management and practice solution / legal solution process, because they realize it's more accurate, it's more consistent, and it saves time. So as a lawyer, if you're embracing this technology into your practice, you're positioning yourself, I'm going to say as soon as 12 to 18 months down the road, to be that firm known, right, for embracing this technology. And it's not an option. It's going to be mandatory, and it's going to be to the point where the consumers have actually shared, and this is something Jack shared during his keynote, that consumers feel that if you're a lawyer or a law firm and you're not embracing and using technology, then you don't know what you're doing. And that's the part that blew me away. Now I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like 45% of all consumers felt that if their lawyer wasn't using technology, it wasn't the right lawyer for them. This was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I think that number is going to significantly rise, and then you can incorporate the AI Web3 technology into what I've just shared. And so it's important that our mutual friends, embrace this technology so that they can still stay relevant. They need to embrace this technology so that they can create more consistent and accurate results. And if you're a trial lawyer or a mediator, embrace this technology and set up prompts. Okay, we haven't really talked about the practical side to this stuff.
Yeah.
But
I know. That's why I want to
set up a Google
let's talk
sheet
about it real quick.
with prompts, okay? And what I mean by prompts are, what are the questions that you may come across during a trial or during a mediation? And be able to copy and paste those prompts into your AI data set and personalize it, obviously, depending on the facts and circumstances and legal issues that you're dealing with. And these prompts can instantly create, like I said, open-ended questions. You can ask a jury or opposing counsel. They can instantly offer solutions towards negotiation. I had a case that wasn't a complicated case, pretty basic case, but I wanted to see if AI could help me do some research on the case, Francesca, and it was amazing. And what it was is I tapped into a service that it's called I refer to it as auto AI generated responses. So what was happening is AI was asked a question, and in this case, it had to do with a dispute between two homeowners and the handling of certain trees, okay? And there was a homeowners association issue. I could have spent an hour or maybe had my paralegal or team, do traditional research, but I thought to myself, I want to see what AI comes up with. The AutoGen AI, what it does is it independently starts researching and searching the internet for answers, depending on how you type your prompt. And it would continue when it gets stuck, right? It would continue to dive deeper. And it tells you, okay, now I'm going to jump over to Google. Now I'm going to jump over to this legal database. Now I'm going to jump over to this case and research each of these independent and individual cases. Anyway, within about 15 minutes, it came up with a California case that was spot on to my issue. Now it was spot on because my prompt was very concisely written, right? The better your prompt, well, sure.
Can we talk about prompts?
If you prompt me, we can talk.
Can we talk about how? Sorry, like my brain just too fast. Can we talk about how to use prompts for your business and how to scale?
So
that's what I want to talk about.
So that's a very broad 30,000-foot question, and my answer is yes. What would you like to know?
Okay, I'm going to share real quick then how we're using it, because you said that we do the exact same thing. Like pre-AI, what we're like, just think traditional model. You could create a basic Word document and start putting your templates in. We call that our stock docs. We put basic template language in there. Then we have a written procedure for every single routine matter. And then we have training videos. Those three things are like nuts and bolts of pretty much any business. If you want to scale a business, you need that systematized, and then you scale it because you're able to give your new employees a manual and they could just take it, run with it, and you train them periodically. That's in like, 2.0
and it
or
works,
2.0 world.
And it works.
In our new and it works. But now, like in an exponential, you still need those things, but what we're adding to those documents are prompts. So what kind of prompts can I put into ChatGPT to help me draft the broadest trademark description possible, because it's trained on the USPTO ID manual. Fun fact for trademark lawyers. It's not perfect, but you can use it as a tool, of course. You have to cross-check everything, but you can literally start writing all the prompts. And so what we're doing with our team is anytime you come up with a really good one, we add it to that standard document, and we're just becoming quick. And that's a good tip for anyone who's looking to figure out how to integrate it. And
great minds think alike, because we're doing the same thing. We're even asking GPT-4 to do prompts for us. Like these, right?
So,
These are the issues. This is the problem I'm trying to solve. What prompts would you suggest that we ask in order to solve these problems? And it's the old trick of listening more than we speak, right? And then I listen to the response that it gives me. And when I say listen, everyone, I read the responses, and then we incorporate those AI-generated prompts into our case preparation, into our legal analysis. One of the things that people can do, and we did this a long time ago, and it works really, really well, is you can actually set up in GPT-4, you can upload your case documents into the data set. Your briefs, your memorandums, your fact summaries, medical bills, property damage bills, whatever it may be. And once again, we use PDFs to upload everything. Sometimes we'll just copy and paste text if it's not too long, but we create a data set for a case. Then what you can do is you can actually bookmark the URL of that data set. So anytime you want to go to it, you just go to your favorites in Google Chrome, you click that button, and it takes you to that GPT-4 data set. When you ask questions, you're asking questions relating to the facts, circumstances, and law that you pumped in to that particular private GPT-4 data set, so that your answers are specific to the case that you're handling. And it works really, really well. You can come back to it next week, next month. I think you can do the same thing in Copilot with the LawDroid platform, but that's a powerful way, and it's not hard to do. And if anyone's listening and you want to, like, how do you do that, Mitch? Just message me, and I've got a little outline that we use. But all you do is you just copy and paste. You tell GPT-4, okay, read the following, or take the following input into consideration and label it document 1. Then the next brief you put in, label it document 2. The next brief you put in, label it document 3. The next bit of information you copy and paste, document 4. The final prompt is combine documents 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through X into a document titled master. So now everything is in the master. So when you go in again next week and you ask a question, all you need to do is, I'm meeting with Francesca this afternoon. I know she has some questions about her case. Tapping into dataset master, what are 3 things that we need to follow up on our case? And it will go to that master document based upon what we put in, and then answer that question for me. And then if I want to go out to the real world and ask it a more generalized type of question, it can do that too, because I'm not leaving it towards the master data set. That's just one way lawyers can really personalize these data sets for their own individual use. But once again, keep HIPAA in mind. Don't put in personal information, even though you can opt out of what you're putting in being used by OpenAI's data set, their language learning model. I'm not entirely comfortable trusting what the company tells me it's going to do. That's just me. And so we're very cautious about what we put into these data sets. But that's one way to personalize something towards a particular case, a particular issue, and a particular client. It works really well, and I'd like to see more lawyers taking advantage of this technology. It'll save you time, and it'll make you smile a lot more.
Oh my gosh, this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you on Legal Limelight instead of over the phone, because there was just so much gold and really helpful tips. And you're definitely, whoever's watching this, just get started, because everything Mitch said, like, it has the power to change your life. It truly can.
Isn't it amazing? So real quick, one more thought, and thank you for the kind words. You can take an Excel spreadsheet with all the data in the world that you can think of, right, on a particular client or case. You can actually import these spreadsheets into these AI data sets and ask it questions based upon what I just put in there. And it looks like garbage, right? I mean, I'm not a numbers guy. It's overwhelming, but to AI, it's not. And you can actually have it drill down and spit out expected results or expected numbers or trends in everyday language, literally within a couple of minutes. So as a lawyer that's, has to analyze a lot of data and numbers, once again, there are tools and techniques and approaches you can use to really simplify the process to get accurate results, good feedback. And for someone like me, I then take that feedback and I'll ask the prompt, share 5 different ways I can explain your last response to me in a way that a 5th grader would understand it. And then it rewrites everything so it's easy to understand, and then I turn around and that's what I'll use in court, and it works really, really well.
So great. This is all gold, Mitch.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I can sit and talk with you for hours about this.
We're going to have a board meeting out on the water on the paddle boards around the island in Dana Point, and we will talk and have burritos on the water and maybe a couple of margaritas when we're done. Okay.
That sounds
all right.
fabulous.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Mitch, So it's always good to see you. Thank you for taking the time and truly sharing. You live in abundance, and it's why you are where you are. And thank you for just giving so much value.
Pleasure's all mine.
Both of our
Francesca.
communities.
Thanks for all you do with my referrals that I send your way. I really appreciate it. Take care. Okay. All right. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, Mitch.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a good day.